player taken in the draft tonight. Anthony Edwards, the explosive scorer from Georgia, mother and grandmother with him in spirit in Atlanta tonight as he waits to see when he will be drafted. James Wiseman, we got just a short glimpse of him in college basketball this past season, but a tremendous, versatile big man. Where will he go and how quickly? We saw a ton of Obi Toppin and the Dayton Star can fly. Where will he soar tonight as he awaits to hear his name called in New York City? And of course, you have to dress the part and be ready. Tyrese Halliburton, who has just wowed everyone with his pre-draft interviews, and his game is so solid. The Iowa State star awaiting his moment, and you can't undersell the emotion that comes with this evening. R.J. Hampton, who skipped college basketball to play for the New Zealand Breakers, caught up just a little while ago, and the gravity of what this means for his life and his family as he has the opportunity to start his NBA career tonight. This is our virtual draft community. We'll be checking in with players around the country with the pandemic forcing us to do this virtually. You won't see the same types of hugs that you typically do on draft night on the stage. But up to 58 different players, if they had their name called, 60 will in all, but we could have 58 join us tonight. Welcome to NBA Draft 2020, presented by State Farm. We're doing everything tonight from our ESPN studios on campus in Bristol. That, the big board, is where Adam Silver will join us to make the announcements of the players who are selected in this NBA draft. And just across the way, we'll be here to give you those picks, break them down, and deliver all of the news as it unfolds. Glad to have you with us as we work our way to the top of the hour when the draft will start. I'm Reese Davis alongside Jay Williams, Jay Billis, and Mike Schmitz. Adrian Morchanowski is here. He'll give us plenty of news, and we'll check in with Woj in just a second. Malika Andrews will have interviews throughout the night. Bobby Marks from a front office perspective. Most of you know that there's been a huge injury involving Klay Thompson that we will get to momentarily with Woj that could impact what happens in the draft tonight. But taking a broad picture of the draft right now, Jay, what's the characteristic of what we're going to see tonight?
Well, first of all, no draft prospects have ever gone through a journey like these draft prospects. I can't imagine the emotion of R.J. Hampton and the other draft prospects on what is the biggest night of their lives professionally. Teams are operating without the normal information they would have from a combine, from all the things they would have gotten in the spring. These players have worked out forever. And we've spent a lot of time talking about who should be the top pick, who of the top three players, or top three prospects has a chance to be great. But there's a lot of really good throughout this draft, whether it's guys like Tyrese Halliburton of Iowa State, Devin Vassell of Florida State, guys that can play at both ends of the floor and be really impactful, or Saddiq Bey of Villanova, who's a 45% three-point shooter that can also defend. There's a lot of talent in this draft, and the ceiling may not be as high as the top three, but the floor is really high on these guys.
It's been 8 months. 8 months since these guys have last played, if you were actually playing going into March Madness. For a lot of guys, especially the guys that didn't play overseas. And the question I think a lot of GMs have is, did this adversity, this reveal a lot of character, or did it mask it? Did it mask character? And I think trying to evaluate, and also for a lot of these guys, it has to be challenging. Who did you work out with? What was your schedule and how you worked out with? You were making a lot of adult decisions considering you were working out in these types of environments, considering a pandemic.
And to your point, for LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman, it's going to have been over a year since they played their last competitive game by the time they step on an NBA floor. And each prospect has really had different circumstances. You look at Tyrese Halliburton, he was able to play 3-on-3 out in Vegas. You have Tyrese Maxey, he was doing 6 a.m. workouts with Rajon Rondo before he went to the bubble. So each guy has kind of had different circumstances. But I think with no training camp, no summer league, we're going to really see who's kept themselves in shape.
Well, the team that has the first pick at the moment is the Minnesota Timberwolves, but picking just behind the Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors. You know, injuries wrecked their season a year ago. The team that had built a dynasty in the NBA fell to 15 wins. Klay Thompson, one of those injuries, along with Steph Curry. Woj joins us now. Woj, what do you have the latest on the Klay Thompson situation that unfolded this afternoon?
Reese, I was told Klay Thompson was in Southern California working out today, playing a pickup game. He suffered a right lower leg injury. He's going to be tested in the next few days. The severity of it is unclear. He missed last season, the entirety of last season, with an ACL injury in his other knee, and he had fully rehabbed from that. But they're still waiting to get a sense of how serious the injury is, and I'm told lower right leg.
All right, well, thank you very much. As Woj finds out more, he'll share it with us in our coverage throughout the draft. And look, all of this is happening right now, and there had already been a lot of conjecture and speculation about what the Warriors might do at number 2, what they would need to recharge that dynasty. We hope the injury's not serious.
Yeah.
Where does that leave the Warriors right now?
Well, some of the conjecture before was, do you package Andrew Wiggins and the pick to go after another superstar like a Bradley Beal if he were on the table? I think that's off the table now. I think considering the injury to Klay Thompson, you need Andrew Wiggins more than ever. I think if you're that team, if Golden State, you trade down. I think you say, hey, look, the Bulls put an offer on the table. It was for Wendell Carter in the 4th pick. You get your big that you were looking for, maybe that you're going to get with James Wiseman or something of that sort before. And I think you also get a chance to get a guy like, Danny Avdia, right? Did I say it correctly? Avdia. I'm going to get it correct. You're at the end of the show. But he brings that tall, that big guard that can do things similar, can't shoot the ball as similar as Klay Thompson, but brings that same kind of physicality to the table.
I think you have to look at LaMelo Ball, honestly. I think they need to take a long view as they're approaching this draft and look toward the future. The first option should obviously be a guy who's ready to play now, but LaMelo to me is the best prospect in this draft. He's an elite playmaker. I think he's going to be one of the best passers in the NBA. From the second he steps on the floor, he can make guys around him better, and I think he'd really fit alongside Steph Curry. Honestly, Steph is not a ball-dominant guy. He's into his 30s. He doesn't want to pound it. He likes to get up shots off of movement. He likes to run off of screens, handoffs, and I think that could be a really interesting pairing.
The one thing I wouldn't do if I were the Golden State Warriors is overreact right now. So if you were going to take LaMelo Ball anyway, take him now. But if you were going to take James Wiseman, there's still a darn good reason to take Wiseman now. If this were 5 or 10 years ago, James Wiseman would be the no-brainer #1 pick in this draft. He's 7'1" with a 7'6" wingspan. He's not a serviceable big guy. He's got a chance to be a great big guy in the league. He reminds me a lot of Chris Bosh, except he's bigger and longer. When Chris Bosh came out in 03 from Georgia Tech, both left-handed, and Wiseman can shoot it. The questions about, well, can he stretch his range out? He's got a good shooting touch, and he's mobile. He can move laterally, so he can set screens and actually get out and guard him on the perimeter. And I think he can stretch that range out, the three-point range. And if the Warriors were going to take him before, I wouldn't change the plan. I'd still take him.
We have questions about front offices and how they'll handle situations like this. Bobby Marks is our guy, front office expert, extensive experience. Bobby, you heard the guys talk about not overreacting to the news of an injury, particularly when you're still assessing how serious it is. In your judgment, where does this leave the Warriors right now? What they could or should do tonight?
Well, I agree with what Jay just said. I would not overreact to the Klay Thompson injury. Certainly, if it's severe, but I'm listening to what my draft board tells me. And if James Wiseman is the best player at number 2, or LaMelo Ball, or Anthony Edwards, and they are head and shoulders above what pick 4 or pick 5 or a player like Tyrese Halliburton, I'm picking them. If they're not, and there's separation there, if they're right there, then maybe I'm moving back. But Reese, the one thing I'm not doing right now is getting cute with my draft board that I've had already set for the last week.
All right, we'll see. That's the whole thing. Don't try to outthink yourself. And that's a real temptation, especially when you're dealt something you didn't expect to come at all. That's the big board for the draft. Adam Silver's going to be making his picks right there. You'll hear from him when you come back.
Welcome to the new Chris Paul workout show. If you want to make it to the NBA, you got to have a killer crossover. GNCT crossover. Oh, Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. There's no replacing the real Chris Paul, just like there's no replacing State Farm.
Man, what happened?
Who are you?
I'm the new Chris. Man.
You want the real deal? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Tuna. Infinitely bon. J'adore. Le mieux est de parfum infinissime. Dior.
Well, you want a quiet life, John. Dead batteries, empty streets.
Welcome to Advance Auto Park.
Diehard batteries, only sold by Advance at CarQuest Auto Parts.
Chinook. Infinitely wide. J'adore. Le new eau de parfum Infinissime. Dior.
Have a look at this virtual draft community brought to you by State Farm. Really cool tonight. You'll hear players all night from their homes as they have their names called and selected in the NBA draft. Adam Silver, of course, will be making those selections, and they'll have their moment with the commissioner virtually. Malika Andrews spoke with Adam Silver a little while ago.
Ahead of what promises to be an exciting 2020 draft, I am joined by Commissioner Adam Silver. Thank you so much for joining us, Commissioner. And tonight, you are welcoming in a new class into the folds of the NBA family, but the league they're entering, and more broadly, this country, continue to face a public health crisis. This summer, the NBA clearly established a leadership position in devising a way for the league to come back and play within a carefully constructed bubble. And now we're talking about returning to play, still within the context of that pandemic. How did the league come to a decision that it could safely play a modified 72-game season, in some cases with limited fans in attendance?
We came to the decision in pretty much the same way we came to the decision that we could play safely in the bubble. We have a group of doctors and scientists that we work with, and then we work, of course, directly with the players and the Players Association, and it's a joint determination balancing lots of factors.
It is almost time to welcome in this new class of draftees, and one of the NBA's hallmarks is its onboarding process for these rookies. There's no summer league this year. There's no in-person symposium. How is the league compensating for the lack of those things for these guys?
You said no in person, of course, but just like, again, so many other industries, we can do a lot by Zoom and other platforms. So, I mean, for example, I participated in a welcome session yesterday along with Michelle Roberts with the incoming players and their families, and then there'll be our form of a rookie transition. It'll just, unfortunately, a lot of it will have to be virtual. And my sense is with a lot of players, we will go back after there's more return to normalcy. Hopefully this encouraging news with the vaccines, is happening, on a fast track, and that, by spring, late summer, we'll start to see mass distribution of those vaccines. And in fact, yesterday, when we had this event for the players, I said, now that I'm a parent too, I not only feel terrible for the draftees. I mean, when they say it, they've been waiting all their lives. They're also young, and I think about their parents now. In some cases more than these young players, because I think, well, their players, their parents have been waiting even longer. And it's just a big disappointment. I'm sure we'll see tonight by video some fun celebrations at home, but it's not the same thing. So I promised them all that once things get back to normal, we're going to have a huge ball for them of some kind, maybe around the Summer League in Las Vegas, but we owe them a big party. And so we'll find a way to do that. And we'll also go back. I mean, remember, for our best players, think how many years our top players have been in the league. So they're going to be around for a long time. So even if we have to do more formal in-person training in a year from now or even 2 years from now, we'll still do it.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing that celebration when it is able to happen. Thank you so much for joining us, Commissioner. It's really going to be a special evening. Thank you.
Well, great to be here.
I'm really hoping Malika worked to get all of us on the guest list to that party when it happens. I think we could all use that, couldn't we? Well, what a treat it is to at least be able to do the draft and to do it from campus. We'll talk about the guys at the top and who should go first when you come back.
This looks different than you imagined, but it feels exactly the same. The future of the NBA begins tonight.
With the first pick
NBA championship.
For every NBA moment, there's a flavor on DoorDash.
Our new house is amazing. Great street, huge yard.
There is a bit of an issue with our neighbor's fencing. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save even more.
Hey, Sarah, hey, Peter.
Push it.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com. Are you ready for some football?
This is where dead silence.
How about now? Are you ready to get serious? Ready for everyone and everything to mean business? Are you ready to cut off the sleeves, circle the bandwagons, and be hungrier than ever? Well, the 180-degree turnarounds are ready. So are the 360-degree ones. Because everything is ready to matter, no matter what. Are you ready?
Hey, Dad, what if I sleep hot?
And I sleep cold.
No problem. The new Sleep Number 360 smart bed is temperature balancing, so couples can sleep better together. And it senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you comfortable all night. Sleep Number, proven quality sleep.
With this seal, this restaurant is committing to higher levels of cleanliness. The expertise that helps keep hospitals clean is helping keep businesses clean too. Look for the Ecolab Science Certified seal.
Finally! Everything you love about Church's. Between two perfectly toasted honey buttered buns, Church's new chicken sandwich is finally here. Thanks for waiting.
NBA Draft 2020 will open at the top of the hour as you take a look at the virtual draft community brought to you by State Farm. 60 names will be called tonight. I mentioned earlier, up to 58 of those draft choices will join us virtually. Glad to have you with us. Minnesota will be making the first pick, seeing if they are still fielding calls about whether they will pick it for themselves or for someone else. Let's check out tonight's international players, brought to you by DoorDash. For a number of years, real international flavor to the draft. They're coming in a variety of flavors this year as well. You can see 5 first-rounders tonight who were born outside the United States. Leading the way is Israeli forward Deni Avdia. Also, you have Leandro Balmaro from Argentina, a couple of Frenchmen, Killian Hayes and Teo Maladon, and Alexei Kukushevsky, who we saw in great suit last night. You have some NCAA players who came and played college basketball in the States, but come from elsewhere, including Precious Achua from Nigeria and Kansas Udoka Azubuike, Nico Mannion of Arizona, came from Italy, and Josh Green spent much of his childhood in Australia before moving to the States and playing for Arizona. And, of course, you know about LaMelo Ball and his globe-trotting ways. R.J. Hampton also playing in the NBL last year and playing Australia. So a lot of dips on it have it. Who's the best of the bunch?
Well, Deni Avdia is the headliner here, 6'10", 225 pounds, and he's one of the most NBA-ready prospects in this entire draft. I mean, he's coming to the NBA with over 100 games of professional experience. He's like a queen on the chessboard. You can shift him all over the floor. He can really play 1 through 4. He's a really improved shooter. He's a versatile perimeter defender. He can push and transition. So I love how he's going to look in the NBA. You hear Danilo Gallinari, Hedo Turkoglu for him, Dario Saric. I think he has higher upside than all those guys. And then you have Killian Hayes, 6'5" lefty point guard, born in Florida, half French, and had a great season out in Germany for Teo Maladon, who's kind of Tony Parker's protege, and then Leandro Bolmaro, one of my favorites, 6'7", two-way Argentinian playmaker.
We'll see where those guys go. It could be the guy with plenty of international experience, at least in his amateur career and in his early professional career, could go #1 overall in LaMelo Ball. Says his family called him the golden child. He certainly is used to attention. He is the youngest of the Ball brothers, and he is getting top billing, maybe top billing in this draft. He was only 14, freshman at Chino Hills. They went undefeated. How about this starting group with Lonzo and LiAngelo, his brothers, not to mention Onyekwe Okongwu, who here's him called earlier tonight. By 15, he was living like a big baller. Signature shoe, drove a Lambo. He took his talents and maybe a little bit of baggage in the figurative and literal sense to Lithuania. But then after he left Lithuania, came back Rookie of the Year in Australia's NBL. Cameras are still focused and rolling on. He said he's going to have a little gold on tonight in that suit. 5.6 million Instagram followers. That's 600,000 more than Zion Williamson. And there is that winning smile in the Ball family as they wait to see where LaMelo will wind up tonight. So
he's wearing some YSL for you right there. Oh, YSL for you, Brees. You know, just put you on the style. I got you. Say what? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Stopping me. Where's my $100? But, you know, I think with the way that LaMelo played in Australia, because of some of the things that had happened with Lonzo and his dad, LeVar, there were some eye rolls. Here's another Ball brother. But now it's turned into sort of a jaw-dropping performance. Is there any residual effect, any hesitancy from teams about LaMelo Ball?
Not as much as you would think, to be honest. You know, I was out in Lithuania and I went to practice, I went to a game, and it was mayhem. You know, there were reality show cameras everywhere. It seemed like it was more geared toward creating content for the consumer. But then I went out to Australia. I spent about 5 days there, saw a few practices, a few games, broke down film with LaMelo, and I was blown away at his maturation. And he was away from the cameras, and he seemed happy. He seemed like he could focus strictly on basketball, and that's what we saw this past season. In those 12 games he played, I mean, he averaged almost a triple-double per 40 minutes. He was by far the best player on that team at 18 years old. So I was blown away with just his growth, and then his talent level just as a 6'7" point guard is really one-of-one in this draft.
I'm not worried about any of that. I think his play speaks for itself. He's a super talented player. He's got star potential. There's still some question marks, as there are with the top three. There's still some question marks. He doesn't shoot it great yet, but maybe he will. And I think he needs to become a much better defender. But with the ball in his hands, he's a wizard and one of the best passers you're ever going to see.
Yeah, he's elite. I mean, Andrew Bogut, who won a world championship with Golden State, said he's one of the best passers he's ever played with. I think that speaks volumes. And something else about his character that I'm really starting to like is that, look, for most of your life, when you get beat up by your older brothers, I mean, think about it. Lonzo is one of the best on-ball defenders there is in the league. Like, that's a given. You can question his shot, you can question some other things, but him sitting down in the stand, so LaMelo going against that every single day. Like, I saw that. And that seeps into your DNA. Like, he's not going to stop. He's going to keep coming at you. And I think he's the best we have in this class at how he utilizes ball screens because he's a great feel for the game.
You just don't know which hat he's going to put on by the end of the night. And that might be something that you're wondering right now because that's one of the great moments of the draft every year. And then we wait and say, is he going to keep the hat? Is he going to have to change the hat and get somebody else's hat for the pictures later? But the NBA has thought of everything. Malika Andrews with how it's all going to work out on draft night.
Reese, it is 2020, and some things look a little bit different. So while the draftees are still getting the same treats that they would if they were getting drafted in Barclays Center, the hats that they walk across the stage with to shake the hand of Commissioner Adam Silver, those they are getting in this box. There are actually 30 hats in here. You can see the Hawks one is right here. And these are the hats that they will put on in the moment as their dream of entering the NBA finally comes true.